This is Ty, Metalhead Weatherman. I hope you guys are having a good, safe evening right now, especially if you're in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama right now, where we still have an ongoing tornado outbreak. This is day two, and fortunately, from the looks of it, especially based off of what you can see on my screen right now, things are definitely still active. We actually have a tornado warning just south of New Orleans, Louisiana. This warning is issued for the following counties: St. Charles Parish, or parishes. I have to remember that in Louisiana they call them parishes, not counties. But St. Charles, La Fourche, or forgive me if I mispronounced it, but La Fourche or La Porche, or I'm not French, so you have to forgive me for that. But Jefferson Parish as well, and Plaquemines, or Plaquemines, I don't know. Plaquemines Parish in southeastern Louisiana. So that's just one of many tornadoes. There was a tornado warning, or it's not a confirmed tornado, it's radar indicated right now, but there is definitely a rotation signature you can see. And the way you can tell this is if you look on the radar, if you see this little bit of red right here and right here, this is winds going away from our radar location, which is near Shreveport, and I think there's another one nearby as well. But the reds indicate winds going away from the radar source, and the greens indicate winds going towards a radar source. And whenever you see these two touching, that's an area of that means that there is an area of rotation. And right about there where my cursor is, you can kind of see it. So that's where our point of rotation is, and it's looking like it's squaring up to hit New Orleans potentially if this is on the ground. This is a pretty considerable rotation signature, and you can, as you can see here, we're still getting more radar updates. So this could be a potential tornado on the ground here, and this could possibly be a tornado or a rotating wall cloud at the very least. So anyone that's south of New Orleans and in the city itself, please take this seriously and take cover. That being said, we're gonna exit out of this for now. Actually, no, we're not, just in case something else crazy pops up. But main reason I'm doing this video is to also talk about the next 2 days. I don't really have the ability to do live streaming on these kinds of events. I would love to be able to get to that point one day, but right now I'm just not there. There's a lot more equipment that I would need to get, but in time I think I'll get there. But as of right now, we're going to take a look at the day 2 and day 3 risk. Also, before I get into that, I also will say that there are YouTube meteorologists, YouTube weathermen that are great with live streaming, have the proper equipment, and can do live streams for extensive periods of time. One such guy, Ryan Hall, another guy, Direct Weather, and there's a multitude of others that I haven't even seen yet. But those guys are definitely the people you want to go to in times like this, especially if you're looking to get warnings and you don't have cable. But anyways, I'm only going to do what I can do. So we're going to look at our day 2 risk here for tomorrow. So tomorrow's Wednesday, March 23rd, and we can see that we still have our slight risk here in the southeastern. Oops, it's just updated here. Thought I'd click something for a second. Gotta love laptop mouse pads or finger mouse pads. Anyway, we still have our slight risk area here, and I think right around here is going to be our area that's most favorable for for all hazards of severe weather, including tornadic activity. But if you notice here, we now have a new slight risk for Indiana and Ohio. This is going to be right about where our low pressure is going to be spinning up at, so I think there's going to be plenty of convection available. Temperatures might not be quite where we would want them to be if we were looking for severe weather, but I think there's going to be enough convection to where we could get some small to severe maybe even 1 inch hail out of some of these storms. You could get a few straight line winds report. And a brief spin up isn't impossible, but I think the area for tornadoes is definitely going to be down here, right about at this line here. So we'll take a look at these real quick. I haven't really even gotten a look at these yet. So we're going to look at the hail risk, and there you go. Without even looking, I could pretty much guess what that was going to be. And then the wind threat, there you go. Tornado threat. Yep. Tornado threat's going to be focused more towards the south. Went back to wind. Excuse me. Dang it. It keeps wanting to go back. But yeah, the tornado threat's definitely looking like it's going to stay right around here in the Carolinas and southern Georgia and the panhandle of Florida tomorrow. This is where I think the most atmosphere, the most Cape and other severe weather parameters will be available for that. Be available to produce the more significant severe weather. Not to say that it can't happen out in this green area as well. So we're going to look at the day 3 risk, and I think that's actually the last risk we have for this storm system before it moves out. So we're going to wait for this to load for a split second, and we do have a marginal risk. This marginal risk is probably going to include the early morning hours, and I think after that we're probably going to be in the clear on the coast. But this extends all the way up towards Washington, D.C. even. I knew you guys were going to be in play at some point. Jacksonville, you're in this too. Savannah, Georgia, Virginia Beach, Virginia, Tampa Bay, Tampa, not Tampa Bay. Guess that lets you know I'm a football fan. Or maybe a baseball fan. I'll let you guess which one. But you can clearly tell here that there is a marginal risk. Not surprising. Main threat's probably going to be damaging winds, but because we're on the day 3 outlook, just as I've stated in the last few days, it's not much certainty as to which hazard type, but I'm pretty sure I can already guess it. That's all we have for the outlooks. Take a look at the HRRR, see what we're going to be dealing with into the night and early tomorrow. We're going to look at the NAM as well and look at some parameters real quick. I'm going to try to make this video shorter if I can. But that being said, I do think that this model is a little bit behind on the timing because these storms are actually already around here. So you might want to imagine this maybe being a couple hours behind. So really, this is what's going. So really, this is what was going on at about maybe 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock Central Time, whichever area you're in. So let's move forward here. There aren't really any isolated supercells out ahead of the line. It's mostly the line, the MCS, the main or quasi-linear event, but there are embedded supercells in there, which is something that we need to be very leery of because these are still prompting tornado warnings, and some of these tornadoes have been doing damage in Mississippi and Alabama today. I do think as the night goes on, the threat will start to diminish, but you can still get an embedded supercell. And these tornadoes and more often than not, when you get these embedded supercells and lines like these tornadoes are going to drop very quickly and lift very quickly. So this isn't going to leave you much time if a tornado warning is issued. So what I would do is make sure you have a way to get those warnings. No weather radio. Take your phone off silent when you go to bed tonight, and keep your phone off silent. Or just stay up if you actually feel you have to. Whatever it takes to get the warning out. Or whatever it takes to get notified of a warning. So, move further here. This is definitely going to happen earlier than 10 o'clock for all you guys in Atlanta. I think this is going to be an early morning event. And it could be a couple of rounds even. And also, let's not forget that there's still quite a flash flood risk with this as well. So, definitely be on guard for that as well. It's another reason to keep your phone off of silent, or have that NOAA weather radio. In fact, I don't even have one myself. I'm trying to stack up my money so I can buy that soon. So, we move forward, and then the threat gets into the Carolinas tomorrow. I do think that this will come in a little earlier. I don't necessarily see this line of storms slowing down. So we're going to move to the NAM so we can get a better look. I think for the first I think we're going to skip ahead to the first 18 hours since we've already looked at it and we pretty much know what's happening. That much won't change. So the NAM is actually showing this a little bit close to the time I would expect it to arrive. So I think, it's actually still a couple hours behind. So this moves through. We have these little small cells forming behind it. It's just going to be rainy, maybe a little bit stormy. I don't even think this stuff behind the line is going to form. I don't think it dissipates that much. But that still leads us to think that there could be but this is probably what the National Weather Service is using as their logic for a potential marginal risk for tomorrow. I was about to say enhanced risk. It's definitely not that. So by early Thursday morning, pretty much all the storms have cleared out. You mainly get you do get a little bit of convection from the Gulf of Mexico towards the coastal regions. And I think that's what's going to be the catalyst behind this next group of storms that come in. And this is definitely where the flood threat picks up around the coastal areas, because if you look at this model, it's all moving in one direction. And it just keeps bringing shower and storm one after another over the same areas. So that leads to a big risk for flooding. I think it's going to definitely be a factor. So, main risk, in my opinion, on Thursday is definitely damaging winds. Can't rule out a tornado still, but I don't think the atmospheric ingredients are available. We're going to take a look at the northeast really quick, or towards the Ohio Valley. Hang on. Hoping this thing will load. Oh dear. Oh, come on, computer. Don't do that to me. Alright, so we're going to look at the Ohio Valley really quick and see just exactly what we're dealing with tomorrow. Actually, I don't think it'll show tomorrow. Or will it? So, we do have a little bit of activity around this time, but a lot of this stuff north around here is going to be below severe limits. Excuse me. Where things get interesting is right around where this low pressure is. Now, as we watch where it moves further and further off to the east and wobbles around. Look at this little bit. Look at this little area of spin here. This is a point of interest, and there's still, I think there's going to be an area where get a good enough collision of warm and cold air right about here. And I think if we get a little bit of daytime heating, we do try to get some storms to form, maybe some isolated cells. I don't think they're going to have the ability to produce any sort of tornadic weather. The chances of them doing so are pretty low. Not impossible, but I do think there's probably going to be some good enough lapse rates for maybe some small hail. We're going to take a look at the sounding here. And really, it's not picking up on it. But one thing I want to bring to your attention here. Look at the temperature. It's 56 degrees. Same as the dew points. And then once we get further and further out, the moisture temperature the dew points go down. So there are lapse rates here. It's a little bit of dry air aloft, and it could come this could come into play for developing some hailstorms. So it's not out the question. We'll look at the we're going to take a look at the NAM real quick and see what it's showing us. To anyone that ends up seeing this and and by chance they end up having a storm come in a couple hours earlier than what this model is depicting, I do think these models are a little bit off on the timing. It's nothing I can necessarily do about that. So definitely just imagine this being a couple hours ahead. Like if it's saying 18Z, for example, right now. I don't know why it is not. There we go. Like if it's showing 18Z, for example, or 6 o'clock if you actually know how to read military time. Maybe imagine this is 4 o'clock. Or if it's saying 19Z right now, this happened at 5 o'clock already. That's where because the storms were already at this point anyway. So same deal though. Low pressure comes in. We get a little bit of convection. And right around here where the energy is a little bit more ripe. See this right here? This is what I would look for a little bit more of. Let's get a sounding out of this. Oh wow, this actually has a potential for a brief spin up. Wow. And it's still the same thing. Temperatures 60, dew point 57. These are consistent until we get about maybe 6 to 9 kilometers up in the atmosphere to the 300 millibar range, and then we start getting our lapse rate. So this has a potential of producing an isolated tornado. And then as time rolls on, let's keep looking at this. I'm actually a little bit interested here. Kind of surprised. Okay, so we lose it now. Lose it a little bit after that. So that's definitely something to watch for in central Illinois here for a little bit. And you guys aren't under the slight risk in this area. You're under a marginal risk. So that just goes to show that you can still get some madness even if you aren't in a moderate or high risk. So if a warning gets issued in this area even, stay weather aware and be ready. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but because we are under that marginal risk, we can't downplay it as if it won't happen. So we watch this go forward here, and the NAM shows a little bit stronger storms. Probably has a little bit more warm air associated with this. So watch these move forward. Wow, these storms actually mature a good bit compared to what the HRRR was showing me. So we move further and further forward. And that's going to be that. And then you may even get a little bit of backside snow after this. Maybe some flurries. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm actually interested in taking a look into these temperatures around this time of day tomorrow. So I think that's going to be very important as to what kind of storms you may get. I think if you hit that 60-degree mark and you get good cape, if you get even some mildly sufficient cape, I think that there is a chance you could get some significant weather. It might turn into a longer video because of this, but this is honestly a bit surprising. It's a new development for me. So that warm sector does kind of push a little bit further to the north come tomorrow. It's not the most robust sector I've ever seen, but it's definitely notable. And you can even see it later into the day, trying to push further and further into Ohio. And I think that's why our slight risk is right around here. I think this area in particular, I think there might be better kinematics, but the thermodynamics might not be there. Seems like it will be more over here. But I think there could be even more notable severe weather around the Ohio Valley, especially towards eastern Tennessee and Kentucky. Getting my words mixed up. This means this video must be getting a little bit long. So we get some mid 70s a little bit further north. This seems a little bit bold from the NAM, but NAM is a very reliable model. I like using this one a lot. More so than an HRRR, not only because of its range, but it's also very reliable. It's been accurate a lot in the past. So, and of course, by late Thursday, this moves out, and all of our warm sector is to the east. And that's where our area of interest is going to be. So, probably going to be a line of straight line thunderstorms, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow. So, we'll look at some severe weather parameters really quickly. Go back to the HRRR, look at the Cape, and look at the lower level jet. See exactly what we're dealing with. I'm not really going to be asked. Well, actually, I think I will look at the Northeast after all. Originally, I wasn't planning to, but I think I will now. So, as we can see right about this time, we still have a low-level jet with about 65 to almost 70 knots to work with into the late night hours. So there is still a nocturnal tornado threat. Not the most prominent one, but there still is a nocturnal tornado threat, especially around northern Alabama where this line of storms is coming through now. Is this thing loaded yet? There we go. Now we're rolling. So we do get little spikes up in far northern Alabama. I do think this is going to happen. I do think this is actually happening now, which is why we're getting a few more tornado warnings. And as we continue to move forward, we still have plenty of that energy available. Real question is, do we have any Cape? Do we have substantial temperatures that are going to help continue to support and maybe even strengthen these storms? Those are the questions that I have. Those are the questions that I'm sure a lot of people are asking. So as we continue to move forward, we still have areas where we have about 50 knots, which is about the bare minimum that you would need for severe thunderstorms, any kind of severe weather, and that's the end of our model run. Disregard this because there aren't going to be any thunderstorms in this region by this point. Any of you in Mississippi and Alabama. Only time this is really relevant, other than causing just regular gusty winds throughout a day, is whenever there's severe weather. And you guys have already had your share for this storm system at least. There is some other stuff in the future that I will be talking about in the long range, but let's get through this storm system first. So last thing we're going to look at is the Cape. Oh shoot, hang on a minute. I'm forgetting what I'm saying I'm going to do. Jeez, I almost want to take a look and see how long this video already is. Yep, already 23 minutes. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, it's going to be a 30-minute video, but I got to go over it too though. I would feel wrong if I left out any area that's at risk for severe weather. So, let's move this up. And this low-level jet does reach the Ohio Valley, which makes things a little bit interesting here. With where that upper level low is, yeah, definitely wouldn't rule out a couple of tornadoes. It's definitely not unreasonable. I do think that this is a little bit too far ahead of the low to make a huge difference, but we're still seeing points where we're getting about a 30 or 40 knot lower level jet here, which could be still efficient enough, and it still could be a little bit stronger than that in some areas. So it's not unreasonable to think that there could be a brief spin up, especially around the Indiana and Ohio border. I think that's going to be the peak area of interest in the Ohio Valley. Well, actually, no, when I look at this here too, though, I'm seeing a 66 knot lower level jet. Depending on where this Cape ends up being at, man, there could be some stuff that we're missing here. So let's look at the Cape for the southeast first, because that's where our greatest threat is. And the Cape's not that high. Cape's highest around the Florida Panhandle, but we're still getting like 500s, maybe a couple 700s, maybe a sneaky 1000 in here somewhere. No? To the coast, not even we're getting 1,000 according to this, so this could be very limited in nature. So look here, maybe around this part of Florida you might get something. These could be potentially underdone too, so there's still, like I said, there's still a lot of questions that we need answers to in regards to this upcoming to tomorrow. So let's get to the Ohio Valley now. I'm really interested to see, because I wasn't even thinking about this area, to be honest. So we're looking at the mixed layered cape here, and wait for this to load. Uh-oh. Got a little bit ahead of this. Ah, jeez. Okay, there we go. Now she wants to work. That's what we want. Come on, keep going. Keep going. Ah, jeez. You gotta love when my computer wants to act up. Come on. Shoot, we done got ahead of it. Maybe I can close some of these out. I don't know, maybe that'll help. Sheesh. It's always the cape. It's always the cape and the low-level jet maps that tend to be a big problem. Okay, here we go. Uh-oh. There we go. Hang on a minute. So we do get some cape values. Not very high, but we do get some. And these do look like they increase a little bit as that lower level, that upper level low is moving through. We do have areas where we could reach 500, and this is right around the area I was thinking was around the Ohio and Indiana border, and then right around here, lo and behold, there are some cape values, and I think there are some points where we get to 500. So definitely around this part of the Ohio Valley, beware, because you could get blindsided by an isolated tornado. Like I said, the cape values aren't the highest that I've seen. So, I mean, this is probably like more a 30-70 chance on whether or not it even happens, but you can't rule it out at this point now. And that's the end of the model run, and that's all I have for you guys tonight. For those of you down there in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, Panhandle of Florida as well tonight, stay weather aware. Make sure you're getting those warnings. But until then, this has been Ty, your Metalhead Weatherman. You guys stay safe and have a good night.